Things are fast evolving in Hong Kong. Yesterday marked the 22nd anniversary of Hong Kong's handover to China by the British. But protesters stormed into the legislature. Hundreds of protesters faced off with riot police. They want the controversial extradition bill scrapped. Police fired tear gas and charged at them. After a brief scuffle, police took control of the situation. In the process, more than 50 protesters were injured. Now, this has been going on for weeks. People have opposed the extradition bill because it will allow them to be sent to mainland China for trial in courts controlled by the Communist Party, and that is a daunting prospect. But the way this opposition has been expressed has left people divided.
我覺得就係香港應該就係話應該以一個更加和平、更加理性嘅一個地方去做一個遊行示威，而唔係好似尋日咁樣遊行示威咁樣衝擊立法會。
如果遊行，我勸他們不要違法做破壞公務的事情，可以主張自己的權利，因為香港是獨立的。
Though Hong Kong's residents say that China has no right to any legal interference, the Chinese government considers Hong Kong's internal affairs as China's very own concern.
香港特区发生的暴力冲击立法会大楼、肆意损坏立法会设施的行为，是践踏法治、危害社会秩序的严重违法行为。香港事务完全是中国的内政。我们对有关国家粗暴地干涉香港事务和中国内政表示强烈的不满和坚决反对。我们再次告诫有关国家要谨言慎行。
China will do anything to protect its interests in Hong Kong, and it will seek to underplay the situation. The control of information in China is unbelievable, so much so that many people in mainland China did not know the seriousness and the scale of the Hong Kong protests yesterday.
这是绝对不允许的，这是不应该的。香港就是中华人民共和国的领土，是不可分割的一部分。一些不怀好意的市民上街胡闹，那是侮辱了中国，侮辱了国家，那是罪该万死。
Already there is a generation in China that does not know a thing about the Tiananmen Square massacre. The suppression of Hong Kong protests comes as no surprise then, but the protests themselves lack the intent to push an authoritarian and powerful state like China. The main problem is that there is no direction, there is no leadership. When the protests first started, this very same fact was hailed as a significant feature. The fact that the Hong Kong protest did not have any particular person or movement spearheading it. It was not political, it was a people's movement. Great. But every movement needs direction. And now, after the protest took an ugly turn, this very same issue, the lack of leadership, is being criticized. The story began on the 12th of June. After the government decided to go ahead with the extradition bill, netizens drew a plan to surround the legislature. They created online events to besiege the council on the pretext of inviting people to a picnic. A mass demonstration eventually led to the suspension of the bill. So that's victory, right? Not quite, we say. Buoyed by the success, the protesters in Hong Kong tried to repeat the feat, and they chose the 22nd anniversary of Hong Kong's handover to China as the moment to send their message to China's authoritarianism. But there was no one to lead, no representatives to speak for these protesters. Put simply, it became a battle between a powerful state and a powerless mass of people. And the police crushed the protests. This is not the first time that a state has crushed leaderless, visionless, aimless protests. Take, for instance, the Yellow Vest protests in France at the turn of the year. After several weeks of standing up to the French government, these protests were crushed. The Arab Spring, Occupy Wall Street, even the Me Too movement, all these are examples of leaderless protests. But there's also something that's common between all of them. They made a splash, but arguably failed to achieve the purpose. Countries that saw revolutions during the Arab Spring are all struggling under dictatorial regimes or are in chaos right now. Think of Egypt, Syria, Yemen, Libya. It's all good to use technology to assemble and organize protests, but there needs to be a clear objective. You need leadership, you need direction. Otherwise, it will only make the jobs of authoritarian states easier.